To me, enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. We won't let them hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. You won't bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany. And today I have a special guest for you, The Cure, Lucas Chase. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I would ask how you are. However, unfortunately, I did not like the way that you said "The Cure" when you opened that
Oh,
thing.
do you want to do it?
it
You want to do it? Okay, you
It
do
was
it.
very condescending.
No!
Yeah, it is actually special guest on the podcast today. We have The Cure for professional wrestling, new Test Strength Tag Team Champion with Danny Miles, the new Blood, Sweat, Tears Wrestling Champion, the current Coliseum Pro Wrestling Champion, and the current PAPW Intercontinental Champion, Lucas Chase, on the podcast. There it is.
I like that. I don't think I can break it out.
fixed I fixed it.
Thank you.
It was a lot. It's very wordy, but I fixed it.
That's okay. I like it. That's how we like to roll around here. So awesome. So, guys, if you're new here to the Under the Rope series, here I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, promoters, referees, backstage. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Lucas, please feel free to drop it into the chat. I'm sure you'll be okay with that, right? With the questions in the chat. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be all dumb anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh,
I mean, I'm all about it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys
Drop whatever questions you have in the chat. It's fine.
Okay, awesome sauce. So, well, anyway, I already see people in the chat. What's going on? Justin, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that share button. Let's get some people in here. So, so let's start off. So we're going to start off a little different than I normally do on this podcast. So I want to talk about, Dustin Rhodes, training, your continued relationship with him to help you grow into who you are more now, anything that you could share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Dustin Rhodes, mentor, which I can't even begin to tell you how insane that is for me to continuously say. It still bugs me out as a young professional in this industry, growing up watching him from WCW as a natural to Goldust to back to Dustin Rhodes and the stuff he did with Black Rain and things of that nature. Like, this is like a man in which I have grown up watching, and it has been a huge influence. So to go down to the Rhodes Wrestling Academy and train with him, and now him being a mentor of mine, is absolutely mind-blowing in the best way. And DR is definitely he's like my wrestling dad. So it's really cool. And it's if I do something shitty, he'll call me out on it. If I do something great, he'll give me the attaboy. With the attaboys don't come that often, so I'm always working hard.
How long was that training over there with him?
So I was down there for the majority of 2020 actually. So yeah, because I got married, and 30 days later I left to Texas. So God bless my wife for dealing with that. Yeah, it was. I was down there for about 6 months total, and then came back, and then flew back down, and have been back and forth ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there any words of wisdom maybe for those fan? Well, there's a lot of amateur wrestlers that listen into this podcast, they're training. Maybe something that you could, share with them. I mean, I like to end my podcast off with that, but maybe something you learned through Dustin that you can share.
Yeah, you hear this a lot, and a lot of people don't know necessarily what it means, but I heard it a lot down there, and I it started to click with me once I got back and was working again full time. Um, Take your time and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of newer wrestlers and people that work in the indies and even on TV, you see newer talent that hasn't been around that long but have a contract deal, like just rushing through things and going through the motions. And we all still make those mistakes, but try to curb that as much as possible. Make your mistakes, learn from them. Don't let them deter you from anything, and grow.
Hmm.
And don't be afraid to continuously learn, because I'm 32 years old. I took a lot of time. I originally trained back in 2008, had a lot of time in the indies in the beginning of my career when I was very young, and I let that go to waste, with a lot of wasted potential and a lot of wasted effort, just based on personal issues that I had to deal with before getting better and becoming a full-time pro wrestler in my 30s. And if I could go back and look at Lucas Chase 10 years ago, I would tell him to check the ego at the door and continuously work hard, no matter how many bookings you're getting, no matter how much you train, no matter how many great matches you've had for people, etc. Like, just always strive for more, because you have to be better than yesterday tomorrow.
Hmm. It's really,
Always.
it's really good advice. Yeah, I mean, I talked to actually I talked to, like, some parents of wrestlers, since there's so much like young talent, which we'll get into, I'm sure, later or whatever. And I guess, like, that is something like, oh, what is the next step? Like, what is the next step? Probably to get onto TV. Obviously this is something that you would recommend for them to go to, like work under Dustin or maybe somebody else, like to get TV ready, as they like to,
If
call
you
it.
have the opportunity, to hone your craft and learn from someone who's been doing it, like, and we're talking about Dustin, and I'll use him till Kingdom Come as the example. But if you have the opportunity to learn from someone who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, who's been in the business for 30 plus years, who comes from the premier wrestling family in the business, like, you think about his brother Cody, you think about his father Dusty, and then him. Those three careers alone are Hall of Fame worthy. Them as a family is out of this world.
Right.
And it's just knowledge, because not only did Dustin pass on and continuously pass on knowledge to me from him, but he passes on knowledge from Dusty. He passes on knowledge from Flair, from Sting, from everyone that he's learned from. He passes on that knowledge to the new generation, and he's also open to learning from us. And he's also willing. I mean, when is the last time you saw a 50-something-year-old man go on TV, bleed, and do a Canadian Destroyer?
Yeah. It was
You know what I
insane.
mean? He goes out there and he wants to put on the same high-quality matches for today's audience that he did for the 1989 audience.
Yeah.
And to have that type of mentality and that kind of, like, balls to kind of continuously strive forward, and even at his age, try to get better. Like, if you have the opportunity to put yourself in that box and to learn from someone like that, I don't care if it's 3 months, 6 months, 30 minutes, or an hour, do it. Because there is nothing that you will not leave that room, no matter who it is, whether you go to the Nightmare Factory, whether you go to Flatbacks and learn from Sean Spears, whether you go to the, New Japan studio or anything like that, or, Create a Pro, etc. You are going to get a wealth of knowledge that you can take with you anywhere, man.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. Like, that's why, like, I was like, okay, we got to start with this, because I just feel like it's so important. Like I said, I talk to parents, I talk to students that are really, like, young, and, we talk about these things. So, so thank you for sharing that, your knowledge with all that. So, all right. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna learn a little bit more about you. Obviously, I've seen you in person wrestle. So, but,
You're welcome.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit. But we're going to start off with this, because the choices, obviously, that I might pick of us to talk about, you might not like, or whatever. But, so we're showcasing you right now. So that fan that's listening to this podcast, never seen you wrestle before, what's the go-to match of yours that they should watch to become an instant fan? Or maybe not a fan.
Go-to match to become an instant fan, any of them. Go-to match to become not an instant fan, any of them. But honestly, I would say go online, go to YouTube, and look up Lucas Chase versus Kylon King from Blood, Sweat, Tears of last year. We went to a 20-minute draw, and that is probably one of the most physical matches I've had in my career. And I mean, Kylon brings it every single time. So I would go to war with that kid any day, for sure. And we have many times. So, that one I absolutely love that match. To hang my hat on, there is a match I did on Dark Elevation with Sean Dean, and though it wasn't a very long match, it wasn't anything like superstar making or career defining. I really like that match just based on how much of an old school type of like TV match it was, and it was just like I got some stuff in, he got his stuff in. I didn't win, unfortunately. However, it's a good match to kind of watch and see me and see the character stuff and kind of get a little dose of Lucas Chase, hint the cure, the dose. And I would say my ladder match with Dustin Waller from last month, Blood, Sweat, Tears, definitely.
Yeah. We'll get into that because that's definitely something we're going to talk about. And I actually sent that match to our friend Alyssa in UK. So I told her, I was like, this is the match you need to watch so she knows who you are when she listens. If she comes into this podcast, I know she might be sleeping. I think it's like 2 a.m. there or something. But we'll get back to that. But let me give love at this chat. Captain Dave, what's going on? How are ya? Matt, awesome. He goes, Lucas, my guy. I love you, bro. Keep killing it.
Hey, Chancla style. That's my dude, bro.
Well, actually, it was funny because that was one of the matches that I was going to bring up on this podcast. You guys can watch that. It's on YouTube. So talk to us a little bit. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. Working with Matt Awesome. We'll give maybe a little bit of a big head, maybe.
All right. Well, first of all, Matt Awesome doesn't need any more of a big head than he already has. That's first and foremost. And I mean that in the best possible way. He like me has a lot of self-confidence. And that match, me and Matt, was a lot of physicality. It was a lot of one-upsmanship. We both wanted to go out there and prove that we were better than the other one. And that match was that match was a hell of a lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of a physically demanding inside that building. It was so hot. Yeah. Just that PAPW training facility, which I not only have worked in, but I've trained in for many years. That building gets sweltering. So anytime you have a physically demanding match in there, you're really pulling out all the stops. So, yeah, I mean, that match, I'd recommend anybody go watch that because that's a good one.
Awesome. We love that. Awesome. I know. I still got to bring him back as a return. He was actually, I looked it up. He was my 7th episode. This is episode 198. He was my 7th episode, which is insane.
2 away from 200, and you couldn't hold out. You just had to. I could have been the 200th episode.
I'm
horrible.
Sorry. You know where I saved it for, the 200 episode.
Who booked this?
You know who
God, I already know who it's going to be, and tell Kylon I said hello. When you talk to him, I already know.
Yeah, I have a full Miracle Generation coming on the 200 episodes, so you guys all hear it here on the podcast. So I'll be announcing the date and all that fun stuff later, so you'll see. Look, make sure you're following the channel. So, again, so actually, you brought up something that I actually want to talk about. That's actually really interesting because a lot of venues that we go to, there's no air condition. Okay, it sucks. I mean, I'm dying as like a fan sitting there in the heat. Yeah. I gave you guys like so much props that here you are. Some of these matches go on long. I mean, I watch IWTV. I was there with Daniel Garcia and Yuta for the Iron Man match. It was hot as hell. An hour of a match. So kudos to them. I always say that. So it's like, how do you prepare for that? I mean, again, like there are students that they might deal with this. I've watched promoters and trainers say like this is how it is. Like I've gone to different promotions and you work with no air conditioning and it's hot as hell, or you're working outside. How do you deal with that?
You don't. I'm just gonna tell you right now. That I mean, even in the best facilities in the world, like I've wrestled in great air conditioned buildings. And one of my favorite places to wrestle is the Raffola Center in Bridgeport. That's air-conditioned building. The Elks Lodge up in Northampton, Mass. is a great one. There's air conditioning in that building. Nice, we just wrestled there last Saturday. The Tester Strength facility up in Waterbury is always a good one. nice and big and roomy. But even in those buildings, like, you're going to be sweating your butt off. You know what I mean? Like, it's just condensed into a vacuum. But then you have buildings like the PAPW building. You have buildings that are just like, or like, it is like being sucked into a vortex. You know what I mean? And you don't prepare yourself for that. Mentally, you can prepare yourself. You're like, okay, it's going to be hot. I'm going to get blown up. I'm going to, have to be pacing myself. We're doing X, Y, and Z mentally. But once you're out there, it's what separates the men from the boys. I remember I worked a match with Danger Duke Evans of NEW. He came back to wrestling after a while, and we worked the PAPW Alley Fights. And he, Dan will tell you this story himself. And it always cracks us up when we talk about it because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. But we were about 5 minutes into the match. No lie, 5 minutes into the match. I'm used to this building. We're both dripping sweat. It's horrible conditions. It's the heart of the summer. It's about 100 degrees outside, heat wave. 5 minutes in, he looks at me and he goes, "Holy cow. Like, I'm dying. Mm-hmm. I'm dying." And I'm just like, we're working, we're doing our thing. And I look at him, I'm like, "We got to go, bro. We got to go, bro. We got to go, bro." And we literally busted our ass. And he thanks me to this day that we didn't call it when he wanted to call it. And I know I'm breaking kayfabe and everything, but it's just a great story. But, I pulled him through that match. And he thanks me every time he sees me for it because of the fact that we were able to go 15 minutes just based on the mental aspect. And that mental aspect is something that all indie wrestlers, male, female, whatever, tag, singles, doesn't matter. Like, if you're in these conditions, you got to make sure that there is someone in that match, and hope to God it's you, that has the mental capacity to just pull everyone else in to get to that end result. And we had a great match. So.
Yeah. Now you could go check that out. You guys could add that to your list if you haven't seen it. So.
And the bottom rope was broken. We did a whole match with no bottom rope. No bottom rope. It was great.
Oh man. Well, I've seen a bunch of no ropes match. Those are fun too. So.
I mean, yeah, whatever, dude. I'm not one of those flip flop and fly people anyway. So I'll beat you up with ropes, without ropes, inside the ring, outside the ring. It don't matter.
Well, there you go. So, actually, you know what? So let's talk about the nickname The Cure. So tell everybody how this came about. Was it given to you? Who gave it to you?
So the Cure moniker was originally a tag team thing. I was originally in a tag team when I started to do the Cure thing up at Tough and Talented Wrestling, which is now it's Extremely Talented Wrestling. Then now it's Tough and Talented Wrestling. They just made a comeback at the beginning of the middle of last year. Mm-hmm. They just had their 1 year anniversary show, I think.
Oh, awesome.
And I kind of took it on my own. After that tag team just kind of flopped and, we went our separate ways. I wanted to do different things. So we just kind of decided to call it quits as a team. And the Cure moniker comes from the fact that I am a purist at heart. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I can't stand praising other wrestlers on social media. I can't stand the lovey-dovey crap that kills the business and kills ticket sales. I can't stand going in there and publicly hugging people and kissing ass. I can't stand, bending over for people, for lack of a better term, to take advantage of wrestlers and take advantage of the hardworking individuals in this business. And that includes, promoters, that includes other wrestlers, that includes fans sometimes. We bust our ass not only to work in this industry, but we bust our ass to put on good matches. We bust our ass to get our characters over, to get our gimmicks over, to get what we're doing over. And I feel like somewhere between this generation and the very previous generation, that got lost in translation. And I feel like with social media, with podcasts, not trying to offend anyone, but just with podcasts in general and with Twitter and everything, I hate when I wake up in the morning and I see, oh my God, just went to war with blah, blah, blah last night. Really brought the best out of me. This is amazing. I'd rather go online and see someone say, can't believe I lost last night. It's a bunch of bull crap. I want a rematch. Let's do this. We're not making any money unless we sell tickets. We're not making any money unless we're drawing in crowds. And if they don't believe it, then why the fuck should I believe it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And if I don't believe it, no one else is gonna fucking believe it. You see what I'm saying? It goes full circle. And from the moment I walk into a building, we're on this podcast right now. You have me as your guest. I can guarantee you that once I got my Lucas Chase hat on and I get out of the fucking car and I walk into that building, me and you aren't cool. Why? Because I'm a badass motherfucker and I don't give a fuck about selling my merchandise. I don't give a, if they're gonna buy it, they're gonna buy it. If you're gonna come like me, you're gonna come like me. No one's gonna stop you from that because we have smarter people in the crowds now, which is a blessing, that are gonna help get people over. But they're gonna choose to like who they like. They're gonna cheer who they want to cheer. Right. That is not to say that kayfabe is dead. That is not to say that I can't get my heel character over, and that is not to say that I can't get a babyface over by doing what I do. And that's making shit realistic. That's making stuff actually make sense psychology-wise, physicality-wise, and the whole nine. I know this is a long-winded way to get here, but the cure concept comes from all of that. And people always ask me, oh my God, you're so angry in the ring. You're so angry like in how you speak in your promos and this, that, and third. And I'm just like, that shit is fucking real. Mm-hmm. Like from here, that's not kayfabe. Like I am angry in this scenario. Lucas Chase hates what this business has become for a fucking shoot. Lucas Chase is here to take this dying business that was once on fucking MTV, that was once on, at a restaurant, to wrestling in Times fucking Square, that half the kids that are in the business now weren't even alive to fucking step foot in. You know what I mean? I ate there, Yeah. It's things like that where like wrestling was the pinnacle of pop culture. Wrestling was so fucking cool. And it came out of, tape trading and it came out of all that stuff to be in the forefront. And then the digital age hit. And now it's right back to being a fucking subculture. And it's right back to being, and why? It starts from the top and the shit rolls downhill. Because the people who actually work in the business don't believe in the fucking business. So no one else believes in the fucking business. So now we have everybody loving each other and everybody's cool and everybody's great in public. So they don't believe what we're trying to sell. Mm-hmm. They don't believe, if you need something to write with and I got a pen, I can sell you that fucking pen because I got something to write with and you don't. Mm-hmm. I'll make you believe it's the greatest writing tool in the fucking world and you'll buy it. But if I just go, hey, here's a pen. I just gave you something for free. You didn't even need to I didn't even need to work for it. Here you go. Now you have the pen and I got nothing left to write with. So if I go out there and I kill the fucking kayfabe, ain't nobody buying tickets to come see the shows. Ain't nobody coming to pay to see me get my ass kicked or to see me kick some ass. We ain't making no fucking money. So that's where the cure comes from, because the cure from top to bottom, the moment I get in my car to go to a venue, I'm locked in and I'm not changing.
I appreciate that. Like I always say, and I talk about this a lot on a bunch of interviews, like I love fucking promos. Like I get hyped, me doing these podcasts, things that happen on here, it just gets me more hyped for matches that comes on, like I get it. There's a lot of wrestlers out there that they're all into the kayfabe. Charles Mason is one of them. I love it. Like he's mean, like I appreciate it. That's how it should be, right? That you're the heel. I'm going to give you shit. And I'm that fan that's going to fight you at the shows, because I believe it. So yeah. I appreciate it. I know you guys bust your ass. I always thank you guys for everything that you do to entertain us. So thank you again. I'm definitely, don't think that you're unappreciated from me, because you aren't, So, but I just wanted to, throw that in there too. So, all right. So actually, let's talk about this. Let's talk Test of Strength. Okay. So I finally got to make a show a couple months ago. You and Danny Miles teamed up. Shout out Danny Miles. He's been on this podcast. If you guys haven't seen that interview, go back.
Shout out to Danny, my boy. That's my fucking boy.
Yes, I love Danny. Great person. So you wrestled my boys, Miracle Generation. I think I clipped the video the other day of you yelling at me and asked me if Dustin was my guy.
You did clip that video, and I did ask you, Dustin was guy, and I choked him because fuck your guy.
Damn. Damn.
I've made a literal month out of dethroning Miracle Generation in multiple promotions. This has literally been like the month of the hierarchy falling, So fuck that. Times are changing.
Well, damn. So tell anybody that's like not as familiar, maybe a little bit more about Test of Strength, working there, some of your favorite moments, maybe not.
Test of Strength. I mean, test of strength, the favorite moment that comes to mind is this past Saturday when me and Danny Miles beat the Miracle Generation, as well as beat Bobby Ocean, Matthias, and the Mission to become the new test of strength tag team champions.
I know.
That's right. Miracle Generation no longer holds gold in test of strength. We took it from them, myself and Danny Miles. And that is the quintessential moment in test of strength history. Test of strength, phenomenal promotion. If you want hard-hitting, real, fast-paced action, you want fucking wrestlers and workers that you can actually get behind and get immersed in a product, test of strength is where it's at.
Yeah. I want to come back. I have to come back to the promote. There's so many promotions. I try to support so many different promotions, so I try to catch up what I can. If I'm not able to be there, I try to catch stuff on YouTube or IWTV, wherever stuff is, posted or whatever. So what's in store for you and Danny going forward?
We're going to be taking those tag team championships wherever we need to. We're going to be fighting champions. We're going to kick everybody's ass that lines up. And October the 16th is coming up real quick. It's going to be the second United We Fight Invictus Pro Wrestling and Test of Strength coming together for a collaborative event. I gotta see who's the current Invictus Tag Team champions over down there in Jersey. But I can tell you this: no matter who it is, whether it's Milk Chocolate or anybody else, Danny Miles and Lucas Chase set the standard for tag team wrestling because we are the standard for tag team wrestling, and we're gonna kick their ass come October 16th. So let's rock and roll.
Awesome. Definitely check that out. So, it's funny. We brought up Danny Miles here. He actually had a question for me to give you onto this podcast. So,
my God.
Yes. He wants to know, and he actually sent me a photo. So let me post this up right now for you guys that are watching on the live video. So if you're listening to audio, make sure you go check this photo out. He goes, "Why was his chain so much smaller than mine on Saturday?"
Why was my chain so much smaller than yours, so much smaller than his on Saturday?
Yep.
It's because Danny got to the venue late. We took two separate cars, so I was able to get a bigger pump than he did. So it was just an optical illusion because I looked bigger than he did. So the chain looked smaller. So, once the pump came down, the chain grew. So it's fine.
Oh, okay. All right. So that was, So
there you go, Danny. Just get there on time and we'll get a pump together, and your chain will look smaller instead of looking bigger.
I think he wanted yours to be bigger, though.
Well, next time I'll get to the venue late too, and we won't, we'll rock and roll. I'll do a less of a pump. Okay. I can guarantee you on October 16th, my chain will be bigger. I can guarantee it.
Now I feel like this is gonna be a thing. Now, I feel like you're gonna have to one up each other every time you wrestle.
Well, we're gonna see what happens.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I think my chain is probably gonna be bigger than his. I'm not talking Mike Law heaviness here with the colossal, barbell gimmick, but the chain's gonna be bigger. We'll get there.
Okay.
My bag is already heavy as is with all the championship gold I have in there. So it's if I throw a bigger chain in there, I'm gonna need a new suitcase. So.
Okay, so. Well, it's funny you brought up Invictus. I love Invictus. I mean, that was an awesome show. I'm glad. Shout out to Alex. I love Alex. He's been on this podcast too. Much love to him. So how was that? How was it with the fans? Did you see fans from Jersey? Do we see the vice versa going on here? The fans.
It's funny because it was in Torrington, I believe, if I remember correctly. This was a few months ago at this point, back in June. But yeah, so it was on Test of Strength home turf. So there were some people from Jersey that made the drive up, and that bought tickets and then came to the show. And I was in a triple threat against Red Sawyer and Mark Alexander, two very young, hungry, up and coming talents that have a bright future in this business as long as they stay out of my way. And we had a great match. It was great because I won and I showed why I'm so good. And then I started getting these new followers and Twitters and tweets and stuff like that. And from people in Jersey I've never even seen before, never talked to before, or whatever. Hey, saw you on Invictus, even on IWTV. We watched in, we tuned in. Test of Strength's got a great product. So to see companies from across state lines merging together and doing collaborative events is always great. And I'm definitely looking forward to October 16th, which is going to be down in their turf in Jersey. for the next one, United We Fight 2. So that's gonna be fun.
That's so awesome. I love it. I love, like I'm one of those fans that will drive to see good wrestling. I don't mind where it is. I mean, I've done 6 hours worth of driving to go see good wrestling. So that's
Listen,
really fun.
I hear you on that.
You got to do what you got to do, right? Like, I mean, I've had those wrestlers, like, I give you a lot of props, like, doing the driving. And I'm like, well, I give props for people that have maybe, like, 5-minute matches that do, like, very long drives, But, if you give me a good card, you're going to get me to come out, So, so this is so awesome. I got to watch this on TV. I think I was somewhere, so I think I watched the after. But definitely check this out. This is something definitely that you guys should definitely check out. And more... We're seeing more promotions collab together, I feel like, especially like on IWTV. Now we're getting more and more. So I love that.
I mean, Restival's coming up
in
December. The second Restival, they're announcing a bunch of stuff. I mean, Prestige was announced and stuff like that with Beyond and Limitless and stuff. So, I mean, ICW. I know that in Limitless and Blitzkrieg have a weekend coming up the beginning of October. That's going to be great in Enfield, Connecticut. It's going to be. It's good to see because, people say the territories are dead, but I think the territories are alive and well. We just call them the indies now. That's pretty much it. And when you get to see other people in different places, it does still have that buzz and that excitement,
Yeah. I like it because me personally, with the fact that I follow so much different indies, so I like the collision of like the different. So it's like, okay, so maybe people that were Invictus maybe didn't know, test the strength, so now you're getting the fans to swap, but like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go support these people, and oh, look, now I found new wrestlers. And that's like one of my thing. Obviously, me doing this podcast, I find wrestlers every freaking day. They might have been wrestling for years and years and years. Maybe I just found them, so that's the beauty of the indies. So this is why we support the indies here. Sky's in chat. What's going on? Checking in to say hello to AM here. Well, welcome. Thank you for hanging out in here. So let's go back to AAW Dark a little bit. Let's talk about that because I feel like it's such an important piece that we need to talk about on a podcast with anybody that's done it because of the fact that they gave these massive chances to the indies. I always felt that AAW was like a super indie, so they have that appreciation for the indies that they don't forget where they come from. Tell us a little bit about like your experience, like backstage, did you feel like you got a lot more knowledge, like working there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I actually have been there. I have worked for AEW. I just did Buffalo a couple weeks ago, and that was number 8 for me. I feel like our relationship is good building. I like to be there. And you speak about car rides. I actually woke up that morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and drove from Connecticut to Buffalo, New York, got there just in time for call time, worked the entire thing, and then was back in the car, slept for a couple hours, was back in the car Thursday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to get home in time to take care of business up in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. So, like, those drives, you know what I mean, are worth it. Just traveling down to Universal Studios, doing the Dark Elevation. The backstage environment there, kind of weird right now. There's a little weirdness going on with everything going on in the media. And as you could see, I was there. Buffalo was 3 nights removed from All Out. Yeah. So got to kind of be in that little whirlwind. But, my experience there was phenomenal and has been phenomenal, continues to be phenomenal. They give chances to everybody. That is working hard, that's busting their ass, and they pay attention to the indies, man. I got a kudos from someone who's become a friend of mine in AEW. On a match that I just had, very recently. I got a text message, and they were like, "Hey, just watch that match. Really, really good stuff. Like this, that, and the third." And like it's just that those type of networking opportunities where it's like, whoa, like wasn't expecting that, especially from that person. Yeah. I have I always joke that myself and Powerhouse Hobbs have this like gigantic rivalry because we've worked twice before already, and I keep telling him he's ducking me because the third time it's going to be me coming up victorious. It's just stuff like that where you get to really see what it's like in that environment, not only from in ring but just behind the scenes and everything that it takes. Like we think that we're busy on show days in little smaller companies. Yeah, you go there, man, and it's like your head's on a swivel. Like if you don't watch it, your toes are gonna get crushed by an anvil crate, or someone's gonna knock you over, or you're gonna miss catering. You know what I mean? It's real deal. And let me tell you something about catering, man. You never want to miss catering. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I love that. I love that.
Diet Cokes as far as the eye can see. I love it.
I love that. Is that a little nerve-wracking for? Well, now you're used to it because, like you said, you've done a bunch of matches there. But to like your first time being in front of that massive crowd, you know, like how is that feeling for you?
So I think being in front of that crowd has helped me so much on the indies now for bigger crowds because I'm able to shut it off and really just like zone in. And a lot of that has to do with, like, my first one was in Austin last year. It was AEW's first time outside of Daly's place since COVID. It was their first show at the HEB Center in Austin. And they're like, oh, you got Powerhouse Hobbs. Cool. And they're like, it's going to be 8 minutes. By the time we got to Elevation taping, our match got moved down to like 3.5 minutes. So we lost a lot of time. And, you know, that crowd was just so hot. I'm talking 5,000 people, just like it. You're not ready for it until you're in the ring, and you're like, "Oh, I'm fucking like it's either you're ready or you're not ready," you know. And I did what I needed to do. You know, we had a good match. Hobbs hit the spine buster 1, 2, 3, and as soon as I come back through the curtain, I got Jerry Lynn and Dustin Rhodes waiting for me to tell me how I did, and Jerry was our agent on the match and the producer. And just getting that knowledge. Now I see Jerry Lynn all the time, and he remembers who I am, and we chat. And you know, Jerry Lynn's one of my favorite people in the business to learn from. And you know, just like being able to sit back there and like have a guy like Malachi Black pull me aside and tell me that he sees, you know, this as a great thing, and I should work on this. And the fact that he's like, you know, I would never forget this. Malachi pulls me aside and he goes, I was watching the monitor just from your entrance and your confidence and he goes, you didn't look like you were a guy brought in to make Hobbs look good. He goes, you look like you belonged in there with him. Like your presence and your confidence was there, and you look like you belong here with us. And I'll never forget that, because my presentation is something that I take very, very seriously. Whether it be physical, whether it be mental, whether it be emotional, whether it be, you know, promo wise, whatever, my presentation is very, very important to me. Right. And for to hear that at that level, and to know that that's something that I'm doing right, like that's huge. Yeah. Because these are people that are used to this stuff, and they tell you to slow down, they tell you to this, they tell you to, make sure you hit the hard cam, make sure you this. And like I already having Dustin harp that into my brain, hearing that from people working there weekly, even when I go back and I do work, they're like, oh man, you worked the hard camera really well, or you know where you're supposed to be in the ring and you're feeding, and that shit helps. And I take that, to me, I don't work indies anymore. To me, every single promotion that I work for, where's the hard cam? What are we doing? Okay, boom, let's work towards that, because this is still TV. It's not TV on a grand scale, it's TV on a smaller scale. But we're still doing the exact same thing that they're doing on TNT and on USA Network and on Fox every week. We're just doing it on IWTV or on YouTube. Right. That's it.
Right. That's amazing. And I guess these are things good that could help out like anybody else that like listens to this podcast too. These are things to like think about. So
if there's anyone listening to this that takes anything away from anything that I say today, work the fucking hard camera at every single indie. Because it doesn't matter. The people who are there, and this is a piece of advice Dustin gave me, the people who are there already are paying attention to you. They're sitting ringside, they're watching everything, and you fucking got them. Play to the people at home, because if I could draw you in postpartum through YouTube or through IWTV, you're going to be engaged and you're going to want to see more. Even if you're not there, if I could make you want to see more of me when you weren't even in the building, I did my job. And the only way you're going to do that is by translating through the lens. That's it.
I love that. Sky, you know, I love this guy's attitude. And then she said also that the atmosphere must have felt electric at AEW. So
it always does. It's phenomenal. I mean, I had a little bit of a mark-out moment. I'll tell you a quick catering story. Time there. they're like, all right, go get something to eat. We got some time to kill. Boom. So I work in a catering, and it's kind of like when you go to school, a new school for the first time,
Yeah.
and you don't know anyone, but everyone else has grown up together. So everyone's already sitting at the lunch tables together. So you turn around with that tray, and you're like, I don't know where to sit. There's one table with one seat open. So I walk over to the table, and I go, is anyone sitting here? May I sit down?
Yeah.
Yeah, kid, have a seat.
Aw.
So I have a seat, and I'm sitting there, and I'm minding my P's and Q's, and I'm not saying anything to anybody. Sitting at this table was Sting, Big Show, and Mark Henry. I'm there not only representing myself, this is the first time I'm there in that environment, and I'm representing Dustin, who's known all three of these men for a very long time. They strike up a conversation, and it dawns on me midway through this conversation that I am sitting there having lunch and talking to three Hall of Famers in which I grew up watching that know my freaking teacher and my wrestling dad. And, they're making jokes. They're doing this. I'm laughing. Mark Henry slapping me on the back. Ha, ha, ha. Right, kid? Like they're ribbing Big Show. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this is so fucking cool and weird. And I don't know what to do with my fucking hands. But like, it's like that environment where like, it's like, any first date I've ever been on, no matter how bad, will never be as nerve-wracking as me sitting at that table having lunch that day.
Aww.
I didn't even know how to eat my steak. I'm like, do I cut it really small? Do I I was very aware of my elbows being on the table. I was like, fuck. Like, it's fucking wild.
Oh man, that's so awesome! Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great
Mm-hmm.
that's a great story. All right. Well, because I know Sky's in the chat, so I'm gonna ask this because she asked this the other day for one of my podcasts. So I feel like this is great because she's always asking for like recommendations, and we talked about your matches. So is there anything, because like she likes to study matches, right? And that's like things that you guys do. Any kind of realm. Doesn't even have to be you, maybe outside of you. What is like a match that you would recommend for someone to study?
I'll give you three.
Okay.
Top three. These are three matches that I've watched maybe like a million times. In Your House Mind Games 1996, Shawn Michaels versus Mankind. Probably one of the best WWF Championship matches you've ever seen in your life. Ultimo Dragon versus William Regal from Starrcade. Amazing. Two clash of styles with two of the greatest to ever do it. And I think that William Regal, doesn't get his just desserts as to how great he actually was when he was an active competitor. And he's still great even now in a managerial role. And the third one would have to be World Championship Wrestling back when it was still like Jim Crockett Promotions. Magnum TA versus Tully Blanchard Steel Cage I Quit match. That right there. You want to talk about two guys that made you believe in shit? Watch that fucking I Quit match. It was in a cage. It was for the United States Championship in the NWA. Tully Blanchard, Magnum TA. Whew, that should give you chills.
You're welcome. She's so excited. So thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I figure I might have to like incorporate this into all my interviews for you. Since you always like
Hey,
matches.
and if anyone ever has match recommendation questions, feel free to freaking tweet at me and ask me. I will just send, because all I do is study film.
There you go. So you have like a new fan now. So I'm sure she's all excited. So awesome. All right. So question for you, Sky. Did you watch the match that I sent you? Did you watch the BST match? Did you watch it? Because I sent it to her hours ago, and I told her that this was one of my favorite matches this year. You and Dustin Waller. I know, whatever. You took his fucking belt. Okay, so you and me, we're in a quarrel right here. I'm kind of annoyed, because that's my boy over there. But
I took two of his belts.
You did. But we're focusing right now on BST. Okay. So,
all right.
We're focusing on Blood, Sweat, Tears. Okay. Shout out to them because they shared the stream. Also, so much love to you because they said the champ takes some time off from winning belts and slapping nerds to sit down with Under the Ropes. So thank you. Much love.
Is that what they said?
Yes.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Okay, rock and roll. All right, good. I like slapping nerds, so it's fine.
Are you gonna add that? You should probably add
That's the next T-shirt. As you say, slapping nerds.
And she said she did watch it. She did watch it. So, ladder match. This was amazing. I really wanted to come to the show, and I couldn't come to the show, so I was kind of like upset because I wanted to watch it in person. So I waited for days for it to come up on YouTube. So finally got to like watch it. It was bonkers. You know, like if you want to watch a good ladder match, this was the ladder match to watch. So talk to us a little bit, you know, about this. You know, like, you know, obviously working with Dustin, you know, the Haven coming in, Kylon coming in, a lot of craziness going on here. Like,
the entire Miracle Generation took a L that night. I mean, they all came out and he still couldn't get the job done. However, going into that match, that was the culmination of 3 years of rivalry between Dustin and myself in singles competition. And I got to say, man, no one's ever brought out the best in me like Dustin Waller has. 100%. 110%. Whether it be friendly altercations, whether it be professional rivalry inside the ring, whatever. You know, we push each other to be the very best at all times when we are in there together. And we want to have those matches that, like you said, and it just goes to prove my point. You know, you weren't there, but you said it's one of your favorite matches this year. Mm-hmm. You know, and you watched it on YouTube. And it's that kind of thing and that type of mentality. Like, not only are we gonna steal the fucking show, but we're the fucking main event.
Yeah.
And we're the main event for a fucking reason, you know. And we weren't looking past it. We were looking at it. It was a match that we both wanted to put on in the biggest of ways and to make sure that everything was as perfect as possible. And we went about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
From bell to bell. Being out there, it felt like fucking 5. It did not feel like that at all because the crowd was high, and you don't get it through the fucking YouTube, and that crowd was hot from the jump. You know, there was I think I posted a fan clip like a day after where it was just like, you know, put the volume all the way up or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was just the beginning of the match of us trading, you know, things and trying to get the better of each other. And as soon as we came to that stalemate, boom, they blew up. Mm-hmm. And it's like we hadn't even touched yet. And we're standing in there. I've never been in that position where, like, we're looking at the belt. They just hung it. We're looking at each other. We're in there. And the crowd is chanting, like, this is awesome before we even touch.
Yeah. Like,
that's why you fucking do this.
Yeah.
You know? And that match, I think I've watched it a million times. You know, I'm very, very perfectionist, you know, mentality when it comes to my shit. And I can nitpick a lot of things that I do in that ring that I do not like. But when it comes to that match, I've watched it a million times, and I cannot pick out one single thing that I'm like, I could have did that better. Mm-hmm. I feel like everything was just from the physicality to the story we told to the, you know, the gaga and the bigger stuff. And we saved the big stuff for, you know, the back half of things. And, you know, we utilized things smartly. It's not like we went out there, we're jumping off ladders every 5 seconds. You know, we really decided to tell that big story, and I walked away with the gold, and it was a big thing. I mean, I think I did my fucking job when they're throwing popcorn in the ring as I'm celebrating. They were literally throwing garbage at me as I was like leaving. It was awesome. I've never had that before, so it was great.
That's awesome.
I was like, they're fucking throwing garbage. They're throwing trash at me.
That's fucking how you know you did your job. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Really.
Fucking great.
It was like I was at that GCW show with Matt Cardona winning the GCW belt. Yeah. And I was literally in the front row. Me and my friend, we got up and ran across the carousel room and hid behind Young, Dumb, and Broke because it was insane. I was scared. Yeah. That's how crazy it was. You know?
My goal is to get and become as hot of a heel and as hot as a fucking hated guy as MJF and Matt Cardona put together.
Ooh, okay. I'm here
because that's some real shit.
Popcorn. That's great. That's freaking great.
let's rock. Throw all the fucking trash at me you want. I don't give a shit.
Listen, this is like I appreciate it. Like, listen, you know, like here. Like, I have a little pizza. that I'm bringing to Beyond on
There you go.
Sunday, and I'm going to smack the Brick City Boys with it, you know? But like,
Those are my guys, bro. Victoria.
well,
Eddie
I'm
W.
gonna
Let's
smack
go.
them with this pizza, okay? Just so you know.
Hit the bricks. Horrible.
The bricks was funny. We talked about that on this podcast when shout out to the Wrestle Open because the fans up there are amazing. You know, like
Yeah, Wrestling Up is great.
they go in. They throw toilet paper. They throw bricks. Whatever. I throw streamers. Whatever it is. So, I love the crowds. When they're loud. So something like that with BST is awesome. Even before, like you said, that you guys didn't even touch, which I saw it, and I could only imagine in person what it was like. So much love. So be loud at these shows, pretty much. So
That's right.
all right. So I have a fan question here from Good Cop, Bad Cop. He likes to mess with everybody on my podcast. So he says, with Lucas Chase being an anagram of such a scale, what part of your wrestling took the longest to master as it was such a scale?
It's actually a good fucking question. It's worded horrendously, but it's actually a good question. I want to say the my look took the longest. I'm like I said, my presentations is huge, and I'm the type of person that as soon as I walk through the curtain, you need to know what to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to present myself to you to nail it. You know what I mean? A lot of people say the first couple minutes of a match are the most important part because you're establishing the story you want to tell, etc. But if I can walk through that curtain and you know exactly what I'm about, we just made our fucking jobs a hell of a lot easier. And everything goes into that, from the entrance attire to the gear to the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I move, the way I fucking give a glance, the way that I look at the fucking camera, the way I look at you, etc. I shouldn't have to say anything for you to get it, So I think that, and that's an evolutionary thing. That's always going to be a work in progress for me, I think. So I think to such a scale, the hardest part of wrestling to master has been the presentation, because let's face it, I'm fucking awesome at everything else.
I love it. Adonis in the chat, he says, Lucas, how does
Boo!
it...
That sucks, bro.
Well, he said, how does
This fucking kid is basically stalking me at this point. Fucking boo.
Damn, the heat is in chat. Well, he wants to know, how does it feel having 4 championships?
It feels like my back hurts a lot. From carrying these fucking companies.
Damn.
Woo!
Damn. Damn. I feel that. Oh, he
Let's think
said
about this
bye.
for 1 second. Three of these belts that I currently hold, I took from the Miracle Generation.
No,
I took the PAPW Intercontinental Championship from Kylon earlier this year. I just took the BST Heavyweight Championship away from Dustin, and then I took the TOS Tag Team Championship with Danny Miles from both Dustin and both Kylon in the same night. It was great.
I'm gonna find something to throw at you the next time I see
They're,
you. Just for that.
They're too preoccupied with their cool little flippy floppy stuff to hold on to their gold, apparently.
Damn. Wow. Well, let's see. What
Just
else
saying.
did she say in the chat? He goes, Lucas is no joke. I've seen him wrestle so many times. Like, he is no joke. Yes, I know. And then he said, bye, don't do me. I'm the hypest in the room. And he said, not going to lie to you. I want that Coliseum belt. Haha. Coming.
Yeah,
for the belt.
he keeps telling he's coming for my Coliseum Pro belt. Not going to happen. No one's going to take that from me. However, Adonis, you get trained up, you step in the ring, you get your ass kicked. Take a ticket. There's a lot of people in front of you.
Damn. So, all right. So this is a fun question that Dom's been bringing on to a lot of my podcasts, but a lot of the interviews. Okay, so what is your dream match? Who is it with? Where is it held? And what venue would you have it? Who, what, when, where, why?
Dream match booking right now?
Yeah, anything you want for what belt, anything you want.
I'm going to say no belt needed. This is just a match.
Okay.
Because I know everyone's probably like, oh, I want to be like WWE champion.
Okay, no belt, just a regular
Like
match.
no fucking belt. I'm not a mark for belts. I get belts because I'm fucking great. So this is a good one. Fuck, this is a good one. So I'm technically having a dream match this Saturday. One of my dream matches this Saturday goes down in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, for a New World Wrestling Extreme. I'm going to be taking on Rhino, and that has been a dream match of mine since I was a kid because I've always been a fan of Rhino. We have similar looks, similar body types, similar styles. And when I heard he was coming up to the Northeast, I was like, holy shit, this would be a great opportunity for me. And then I got the phone call that I was actually going to be facing him, and I was just like, let's fucking go. So that's a dream match for me right there. So I'm going to take Rhino off the table because it's actually going to happen. I'm going to kick his ass on Saturday. We're going to go from there. Norfolk Scope Arena.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the destination, the Norfolk Scope. That's just a tremendously historic venue for so many reasons. So Norfolk Scope Arena. Can I choose a promotion?
Sure.
Norfolk Scope Arena for WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make the event Halloween Havoc because that's a dope event. And I would actually choose to go up against Triple H.
Ooh.
In a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Oh.
I win. His career's over.
I like that. You got all lit up, like your face all like lit up. I like that.
I'm a huge Triple H guy.
Yeah.
I was like the kid. I was like the kid in elementary school, like when everybody was cheering for like The Rock and Austin. I'm like, this Triple H guy's fucking badass, bro. Like McMahon Helmsley, I was like, fuck yeah, fire Earl Hebner. Fuck that referee, bro. Let's go. Because Jericho sucks. Triple H's the man. Let's go.
I like that.
Kurt Angle's up there too as a dream match. And rest his soul, I would have loved to work Owen Hart.
Okay.
Owen Hart. I've watched so much Owen Hart in my life. It's not even funny.
Awesome. So thank you, Dom, for that, because I think that's like fun question of anything that anybody can answer. So, all right. So here's a good one, because I know like you love working out. That's obviously very important to you. So is there any advice, that you give? Maybe some people want to lose weight. Maybe some people want to like bulk up. Any kind of advice?
So I'm actually in the middle of a very difficult bulk right now. I haven't put on size in like a year. And eating can be very exhausting. I just want to let everybody know that it's not as fun as you may think it is. They're like, oh, you just fucking eat. I'm like, I'm tired of eating, actually. Very exhausting. I had a big weight loss journey. I used to weigh like 350 pounds, and at 5'10", 5'11", that's not really a great healthy weight. I lost over 150 pounds. Quite some time ago. It's an ongoing journey. Any advice I have to people is don't think of it as you're doing a diet. Don't think of it as you have an end result. Just think about it as you're going day to day, making smarter, healthier choices that are going to get you to where you want to be. Because if you think about it as something that's temporary, it's going to be temporary, and you're never going to get to the goal that you want. And also, to all my people out there suffering from like body dysmorphia and things of that nature, mental health is very, very important when it comes to these types of things. Just know that you do not need to compare yourself to other people. You can have goals and things that you want to emulate and get to. I have my influences in the fitness industry, people you probably never even heard of, people that you probably like, oh, obviously someone will look up to that person. But I know that my body is not their body and I will never look like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just taking influence from them. So just make sure that you know the line, because you'll drive yourself crazy otherwise.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know our friend Dom is trying to bulk up. So
there you go.
Much love to him. So he said it was hard. He told me he's got to bulk up to get in the ring. So
let me tell you something, Dom. Just I'm gonna break it down for you real easy. More calories, less movement.
There you go.
More calories, less movement, and don't be afraid to have that extra bit of carbohydrates, because they are the greatest and they help so much.
Awesome. All right, let's do a very important question on this podcast. So you're going to have to break kayfabe a little bit here for me. So wrestling with positivity, okay? Very important because like we said, there's so much negative in the
What
world.
the fuck is that?
It's my thing. Shut up, okay? It's my thing.
What the fuck is wrestling with positivity?
Shut up, okay? All right, well, is there anything, I probably shouldn't even ask this because I feel like whatever, but I'm going to ask it anyway. All right, so is there anything that you could share with us that we wouldn't normally see, whether it's something like you've done for a fan, maybe a fan's done for you, maybe something a wrestler's done for you, something you've done for wrestling, anything that we wouldn't normally know about that you can share?
I'm going to say no.
No? Okay.
No. There's absolutely nothing that I can share on that because I am a firm believer in you do things for people, not for recognition, but for them and for yourself. And the one thing I will say is that wrestling with positivity, I continue to make wrestling a positive place by just being in it. So you're welcome.
Okay. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I have two final questions for you. If anybody else has them, feel free to drop it into the chat. Okay. So I feel like this is a good question. What do you want your legacy to be?
That's a good question. That's a humanizing question. It's a very it's a mortality thing, you know. And I think at the end of the day, what my legacy is that, and what my legacy will be, is that Lucas Chase came in. He worked harder than anybody else. He fucking busted his ass. He got to the top of the mountain. He made his dreams come true. And he has no one to thank but himself, because no one puts the pressure on me like I put the pressure on me. And moving forward, if anyone's going to take anything away from that, it's that bet on yourself the way that I bet on me, because no one's going to fucking put you over. You have to put yourself over, period.
I like that. I like that answer for that. So, all right. So I like to end, like I said, I mean, I know we talked a little bit about like advice, you know, that you learned from Dustin, but, you know, again, anything that you want to share for those amateur or inspired or somebody who wants to get into wrestling, you know, any piece of advice that you can give them from you.
Don't take no for an answer. Don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. Don't let anybody put you in a fucking box, and don't let anybody tell you that this is what your role is and this is what you need to be doing, because you should be shattering the fucking glass ceiling and you should be shattering the box that they put you in, because guess what? At the end of the day, the only thing that you're coming for is their spot, and they know it, and they want to keep you down because they want to keep their spot. I crave the competition. I thrive from competition. You want to come for my spot and you want to try to take it, you're going to be hard fucking pressed to find out how hard I could actually hit, because ain't nobody taking my goddamn spot. But don't take anyone else's shit. Like I said in the previous answer, no one's going to put you over like you put yourself over. So once you learn your craft, never stop honing your craft, never start actually evolving your craft, because once you think you have nothing left to learn, you start to fail, and failure cannot be a fucking option.
I think that's great advice. So great stuff. So, all right. So let's talk about what's coming up. So if the fans want to watch you or come see you, or maybe not come see you, I don't know. But if you want to share, you know, I have some flyers up here. We got PAPW.
Yeah, what do we got up there?
Okay, we got PAPW September 25th. So
Sunday.
Yep. So definitely check that out. I have to come to one of these shows.
Wild Wrestling. Be myself versus Bull James.
That is awesome.
Great. Of NXT fame, and I'm going to kick his ass. So
I love that. I also have BST November 18th. You and JD Drake. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, myself and JD Drake, my second title defense of the BST Heavyweight Championship as it stands. I just successfully retained my championship by walking away from Bobby Buffet this past week at Empire Pro. You know, I got disqualified, but it wasn't my fault. The referee got in the way of my fist, and they disqualified me. So, whatever. Now, yeah, JD Drake, November 18th. That's going to be at the Rapolo Center, BST Wrestling. AEW is actually going to be at the Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport 2 days prior. So you can make it a nice full week of wrestling in Bridgeport by coming down to the Total Mortgage Arena, seeing me on Dark, and then seeing me versus JD Drake kick some ass on Friday. And then after that, November, after that, sky's the limit there. We got a couple things headed towards December. It's going to be great that I can't divulge right now, but stay tuned to my social medias because I will be announcing some really cool shit soon. So
That's awesome. We have that. Was that the We Love Wrestling, right? That's the Welcome to the Bronx is coming up too. That's November.
Oh yeah, Welcome
4th,
to the Bronx.
Correct? Yeah.
Yep, November 4th. There for that one that's my first time. So I'm originally from the Bronx, and that's a big show for me, just based on the fact that it's gonna be the first time ever in my career that I get to wrestle in the Boogie Down. So that's gonna be fucking cool. Going back to your hometown is always special. And I'm a diehard Bronx boy.
Yeah.
So
That's be good with Anthony Gamble. Much love. So, yeah. So I'm gonna try to come to this one. I definitely want to come. I know like Matt Austin's gonna be there. I know the Miracle Jen's gonna be there. Tyree Taylor's gonna be there. He was talking about it on the podcast that we have with him a couple of weeks.
it's gonna be Prolific versus the Miracle Ones. You got Matt Austin on the card. I believe they just announced Speedball Bailey and Janoi Kai. That's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a hard-hitting affair, and I think that is gonna set the standard for wrestling returning to the Bronx, baby.
Yes, it's been a while since I feel like there's been stuff in the Bronx. I mean, BWF doesn't exist anymore. Kind of.
Well, since COVID.
Yeah. I was at that last show. I was at that last show, so we were talking about that with Brother Greatness when he was on here.
oh man, Greatness. That's a character. That's a character.
He is. That's so awesome. So tell everybody like where they could follow you, if they want to buy merch, all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah, so you can actually go to virtualmerchbooth.com/Lucas Chase. Got all my merch on there. Virtual Merch Booth is a locally operated merchandise supplier. I am one of 2 wrestlers on there. They do a lot of local CT bands as well. So if you're into local music, you can definitely find some cool people on there and definitely buy some Lucas Chase merch. We have some really cool stuff. I just did a collaboration with Resident Evil, Capcom. You have the Lucas Chase Embrace the Cure t-shirt with the umbrella logo on it. That's limited edition. That's only going to be around for a limited time, so check it out and buy one. And then we have all my fastest social media are at the Lucas Chase. Instagram and Twitter are my most active ones. I'm on pretty much Twitter and Instagram every day. So if you want, reach out. Make sure to snag a pic, tag me, say something stupid on Twitter. I'll make you seem like a fool. It's all good.
Sky, definitely hit him up for like those match study matches. So if I gave you
absolutely
another person that you could like ask and maybe some critiquing. Maybe she can send you some of her stuff that she started working at and training right now. So
you know what? When you're training, you need as much critiques as possible. Anybody breaking into the biz, they want to know what I think. Send it my way.
Awesome sauce. So, well, I appreciate that you came on to this podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and chatting with us a little bit. So,
you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I know that the pleasure was all yours. I want to thank you for keeping the Miracle Generation talk to a minimum. It was very, very difficult for you. And on that 200th episode, I might have to jump into the chat and talk some shit.
Oh, damn. All right. So, well, since you're here now, okay, so it's live on the podcast, and I do this sometimes. Are there any questions that you would like me to ask on that episode?
How does it feel knowing that half of that team bags are lighter because of just me?
Damn. Well, you're going to see it. You guys got to tune in. So make sure you're following Indie Wrestling Corner on Twitter so you can find out the date, the time, all that fun stuff. So, but next week, Mr. James, I know you know him. Mr. James is coming onto the podcast, so we're going to learn a little bit about him. I've been following him since, long time too. So we're going to chat with him next week as well. So, so go buy his merch. Go follow Lucas. Go throw some popcorn at him, especially if I'm not there.
Yep.
Yeah. In my honor, go throw some popcorn or maybe something else. So, but
Throw all the popcorn, throw all the trash, and be sure to follow me at the Lucas Chase.
awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Love you so much. Well, you know the drill. Stay safe. Support independent wrestling, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Enough is enough. They just